My name is Adam LaRue, and this is where I live. I'm a gardener and a survivalist. I'm harvesting wild foods, and I'm planting them back. Each time, leaving things better than I found them. I'm seeking a simple, harmonious, and sustainable way to live on the earth. I'm becoming wild. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in direct relationship with nature for all of their needs. Even as recently as a couple hundred years ago, the general population knew how to interact with their surroundings to provide for themselves. Today, you can literally live out your entire life and never once have a conscious or meaningful interaction with nature. It's the most disconnected that we as a species have ever been from the ecosystems we live in. I want that connection back. I believe that our connection to nature holds the recipe for human sustainability on Earth. So this is me, taking a day to connect with nature in the area surrounding my home. With each interaction, I learn more about this beautiful valley and what it truly means to be of this place. Today I'm harvesting meat. Instead of coming to take my favorite type of meat, I'm here to receive whatever's being offered, whatever's abundant. The supplies I need are simple: a rock, a stick, and a plant. Some berries from a different area. Though the supplies are simple, putting them together to humanely and sustainably harvest meat takes more than the basic physical skills of building a good trap. It takes a working relationship with the ecosystem, understanding how animals are interacting in the web of life, and what effect your actions will have. Though I have spent much of the last decade building the skills needed to interact with nature in this way, I am still very much a student here, still being humbled by mistakes our ancestors would have laughed at. This trap is called the Paiute deadfall, and it's my favorite for small game because it's simple, quick to build, and extremely effective. Now, I'll let the trap do the work, while I continue enjoying my day. I'm moving to the mountains, I'm gonna find a peaceful way to live. I'm moving to the mountains, don't wanna take no more than I can give. That's why I fertilize the trees. More food for the squirrels and the deer, hey, that's more food for me. I want to lead my life more connectedly. Hey there, brother, won't you come with me? Hey there, sister, won't you come with me? If generosity was a plant, it would be a black-cap raspberry. The way the berries sit on top of their cane makes them easy to harvest and invites all to share in the sweetness. Dozens of birds, animals, and insects feed on the abundant harvest each year, and the energy they provide is significant to the web of life here. I feast on the fruit in the summer, and I harvest the leaf for tea, but those aren't the only ways that this plant nourishes me. It also provides food and shelter for the wild game that I and other predators will harvest. If I can help these plants produce more fruit, then the added energy will ripple out into the food web, hopefully replacing some of the energy that I'm taking as I harvest food, medicine, and materials. Oh hey, check out what I found. Elk berries. No, they're not actually berries, but they are great fertilizer, and they're free for the taking. So I'm gonna utilize it. Yep, I'm gathering wild animal poop to use as manure for wild berry plants. So they grow more food for the wild animals that I can then harvest to make myself a little more wild. Raspberry plant this size maybe produce a double handful of berries on a good year. What if I could triple that? There's 4 things that I can do at any time of the year to care for a raspberry. First, I weed out the other plants that are competing for root space. Next, I remove the dead canes that fruited last year, which otherwise would block light to new growth. Then I add some fertilizer. And last, I use any available biomass to mulch around the plant. Mulch is a multifaceted tool. It blocks the sun and keeps moisture in the ground longer, reduces weed competition, and provides habitat for mycelium, bugs, and small animals, all of which help the plant to grow. Well, it's been a couple hours since I set my trap. We're gonna see if I got anything. Here we go. Oh yeah. Yes. Looks like ground squirrel on the menu tonight. Yeah. His mouth was still on the bait stick. Now it's time to get this guy cleaned up and cooled down. The ground squirrels here are facing a problem. They're getting overpopulated. The tracks in the area showed me that their numbers were many, but all of the bushes within several hundred yards of their nesting area were completely stripped of fruit. Under these conditions, it's only a matter of time before their population boom will bust. Disease or a boom in predator population is often the result, and the ground squirrel population will drop to near zero. By planting food for them and harvesting meat, I hope to flatten the curve of the boom-bust cycle and raise the maximum number of animals this area can support. This is a basic salt brine. It's just salt and water, and it helps tenderize the meat and takes out any gamey flavors that might be present. Oh yeah, it is every bit as good as it looks. It's amazing. Rejuvenation! Rejuvenation! Now it's time for a little nap. You know, they say life is hard in the mountains. I returned from my swim to find that the extra squirrel parts I had left cooling in the creek had become crayfish food. But the crayfish weren't the only ones that smelled lunch. giant Pacific salamanders. 2 of them. Poor crayfish. Lucky for this crustacean, the salamanders couldn't swallow the head. The crayfish feast in celebration, once again reminding us that in nature there is no waste. You can see this yellow powder is the stuff I'm after. It's the pollen of the cattails, and it sits on top of the seed heads. This one is a little far gone. You can see the seed head is turning brown. It's going to be fibrous and chewy, and the top doesn't have any yellow pollen in it anymore. So we're not going to harvest this one. But let's look over here. You can see this one is perfect. You can harvest both the seed and the pollen heads off of something like this. You got green seed head, still nice and tender and green. And on top, this is the pollen, and it's nice and yellow. And that is the good stuff. That is ready to use baking flour. So I'm gonna harvest a few of these, and then I'll make sure to plant back too when I'm done. I'll move to the mountains, I'll build me a house of sticks, dirt and debris. I'll move to the mountains, don't pay no rent, cause Mama Earth, she don't charge me. And I'll drink my water from the spring, and eat what I've been offered, what each season brings. Give thanks for this fresh, sweet air I breathe. I know this is how it ought to be, 'cause what I give comes tenfold back to me. I move to the mountains. And that, my friends, is a nice tall glass of raspberry smoothie. It's gonna be so good. Got some of my rendered sheep's fat, which I'll be frying up my squirrel in. Alright, now it's time to make battered and fried ground squirrel, all from the wild. We got wild raspberries as the binder, cattail pollen as the flour, ground squirrel as my meat, and I got a side of cattail seed heads as my greens to go with this meal. First I'm going to roll my ground squirrel in some raspberry, and then roll it in some cattail pollen. Now, since ground squirrel can carry tularemia, it's really important to cook it thoroughly. So I'm going to just give this its time, hang out by the fire and enjoy myself and watch it cook. Got my water boiling for the cattail seed heads. Check out this beautiful yellow color that the cattail is turning the water. Now the raspberry kind of made this look like it's burnt, but it's actually just the coloring of the raspberry. They are well cooked though. Mmm. Oh, that's good. Wow. I've had ground squirrel a lot of different ways. I think this is my new favorite. Mmm. Oh, the raspberries are so good. The cattail has this kind of vegetal, nutty flavor going on. If more people knew that ground squirrel was this good, I think we'd see a lot more hunters out here going after our furry little friends. Maybe we should just keep this our little secret then.